Hey everybody, it's Greg Miliatis from StartMyConsultingBusiness.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to juggle your day job plus part-time consulting. So a lot of you may just want to quit your crappy day job and do consulting full-time, and I get that. That's where I was when I first started. But if you try to quit your day job to do consulting right off the bat, it's going to be extremely stressful and extremely risky. You're not going to have the day job that's been paying your bills. You probably won't have consulting work at the beginning, and you're going to burn through savings and go into debt trying to pay your expenses, and maybe even have to go crawling back to that crappy job that you just quit. You don't want to do that. You have to do something different, a little sneaky, not dishonest, but a little sneaky. You're going to do your consulting business part-time while you're working your day job. And you want to keep your day job for two really important reasons. Your day job is going to pay your bills, and that's going to take a huge load of stress off of you. The second reason it's important to keep your day job is because your day job can be used to fund your consulting business. So a consulting business, one of the cool things about it is that it doesn't require a whole lot of cost like most other businesses do, but it does require time. So you do need to put the time in to start the business, to grow it, to learn how to run it, to get clients, to do the consulting work. So even if you're married, if you've got kids, you've got all kinds of other obligations, you still have some free time that you can repurpose to work on your consulting business, because essentially what you want to do is you want to invest that time in building your consulting business, because it's ultimately going to change your life by having a consulting business. So in the meantime, while you're working your part-time consulting, that's going to be a temporary situation, the full-time job plus the part-time consulting. So keep in mind that it's going to be temporary. So you can make some temporary sacrifices during this time where you're working both your full-time job and your part-time, doing consulting part-time, until the point where you've grown the consulting business up where you can ditch your day job. So keep in mind this is temporary. Now along the way, you're also going to have to find some creative ways, maybe be a little scrappy, to use the time in your day to be able to meet with clients, do the consulting work, and juggle all that stuff that you've got with your day job and your family and everything else. So you need to be a little bit creative about it and really focused about how you do that. So there are a couple of ways that I've found for myself and for other consultants where we found that we were able to find chunks of time during our day that were essentially time wasters and repurpose that time to use it to invest in our consulting business and grow that consulting business, to do the consulting work, meet with clients, etc. So things like TV. Instead of watching TV, what I would do is I would be working in the evening doing billable work for clients. So cutting out TV is a great way to cut out that time waster and repurpose that time for growing your business and essentially taking action to change your life. If you've got a commute, that's another way that you can use that to invest in your consulting business, whether you're making client calls from the car or whether you're doing billable work offline on your computer. Maybe if you take the train or other public transportation, you can do that during your commute. Another way is using your lunch break at work. So while your coworkers are out to lunch at McDonald's, whoever, complaining about the boss or about their crappy jobs, you're actually billing or talking to clients, meeting with clients, and doing things that are going to change your life. Another thing that you can, part of your day that you can repurpose is shaving off bits of your sleep. So you don't need to sleep as much. Again, this is going to be temporary, but you can use part of the time that you were sleeping to build your consulting business, to either make client calls or do the actual consulting work. And so those are real common ways that I've seen, at least that I was able to do in my life when I first started doing consulting, to repurpose parts of my day to do that consulting. So how do you do that? How do you get up earlier? I'm not necessarily a morning person, but I do get up earlier because it's a really quiet, focused time that I can do work. So a couple of things that I've done are to wake up 15 to 20 minutes early every day for about a week or so, and then increase that again by another 15 or 20 minutes the following week, and so on and so forth. And that way you can more easily and more reliably wake up earlier on a consistent basis. So you've got more time in the morning that's focused and quiet. The other thing that I do is that I put my alarm, I use my phone for my alarm, I put it in the other room. So I physically need to walk out of the room to turn off the alarm. I actually have 3 different alarms, 2 that I have to scan a little QR code to shut off the alarm, and then a third alarm where I have to actually solve a math problem. So by the time I've done all those things, I'm up and I might as well just stay up and do some work. That's how I hack my morning and get up a little bit early. So now that you've got these figured out how to repurpose some of the time in your day, how do you actually do the consulting work? One way that I've found that worked well for me and has worked well for other consultants is to figure out when you need to meet with your clients, either on the phone or in person. And then the offline, the non-client time, you can kind of fit that in other places during your day. But the client time, you need to do that so that you can get the client work, you can make the sales, all that kind of stuff. So fit that in where you need to. Now for me, my clients are in different time zones. They're not in my city. I don't have to meet with them in person, but I do need to talk with them. So when I first started, I had clients who were on the East Coast. They were 2 hours later than me, just for the time zones. And so what I would do is I would call them early in the morning before I went into my day job and talk with them and figure out any questions that I needed to be able to do that offline consulting work later at night or wherever. So since I didn't have an office or a basement in my house to make those calls, what I ended up doing is I would go into the garage, into the car in the garage, close the door, and I would make a call from the car in the garage, and maybe sometimes with my laptop if I needed to dial into the client. And you'd be surprised how quiet a closed car is in a garage. My kids were up and screaming and fighting and stuff. I couldn't hear it because it was so quiet in the car. So that was one thing that I did. Another thing that I did to meet with clients and do client-facing work during the day, is I would use my lunch hour to do that. So if a client called, or if I needed to talk to a client, I would schedule a time during my lunch break, or take an early lunch or a late lunch, depending on what their schedule was, and go out of the office with my laptop, with my phone, with a notebook, and make a client call during my lunch hour. If I needed Wi-Fi, I would go outside a library or a coffee shop, Starbucks, wherever, and sit in my car outside the coffee shop or the library with my laptop, with my phone, talking to the client, and doing that billable, that client, that consulting work during my lunch hour. And so those are a couple of ways that you can repurpose that time and be kind of creative, kind of scrappy about starting your consulting business, carving out time during your day to do that. But I found generally early in the morning or later in the evening, especially if you have kids, while they're still asleep, before they get up or after they're in bed, is probably the best time, or was the best time for me in doing that consulting work. So those are a couple of ideas for how you can juggle both your full-time job and your part-time consulting work as you're building that up. Now, if you found this helpful, please go to startmyconsultingbusiness.com and sign up for free email updates. You get also the free consulting toolkit. It has a bunch of great resources in there that are very tactical, very strategic, that you can use to build your consulting business and grow it. And like us on Facebook, YouTube, wherever. So thanks so much, and tune in again.